Hey people, it's ScionVyse and welcome to scionlyte, where I do quick reviews or impressions of newer games that have piqued my interest. First on the docket for this new series is Untitled Goose Game, a game where you play as a goose. Untitled Goose Game was released by developer House on September 20th for PC through the Epic Game Store and Nintendo Switch, with a Steam version confirmed to release at some point and I'm sure other platforms later. I'll be playing the Nintendo Switch version for this video just to let you know. With that, there will be some video sections that don't look quite as good because they were captured with the Switch's video capture in handheld mode rather than with my capture card in docked. Originally I had some small doubts in my mind about whether or not this was going to be a worthwhile experience or if it was going to just be another goat simulator. Goat Simulator was super shallow and basically a joke turned into a game. Literally even. A joke which was entertaining for maybe 10 minutes before getting really stale. Thankfully, Untitled Goose Game has quite a bit more substance to it. Untitled Goose Game is essentially a puzzle game with some small stealth elements. You go from place to place completing tasks that range from dragging a rake into a small pond without the rake owners catching you, or tricking a person into cutting a rose they had thought was in a safe place. There are lots of hidden objectives too, some of which are pretty easy to find, but of course many will be quite tricky to figure out, and will test that little goose brain more than a bit. Thankfully you can go back after you beat the game with those hidden objectives unveiled, and complete them at your leisure. A big part of this game is avoiding or coercing people in the town to do your bidding. You will generally be able to see what people are focusing on. A thought bubble will appear over their head to let you know what object in the world they're going to be interacting with next. The goose can use that knowledge to sneak around and complete objectives, doing things behind people's backs without them focusing on you, or you can try to distract them by grabbing other things, or honking to get their attention. Of course, a big draw of this game is the chaos that you can cause as a goose, and the small details that has gone into that is great. People will react differently to the goose's antics depending on who they are and what they're doing, and just that fact alone makes the idea of messing around in each area to see what can happen much more appealing. That isn't to say the AI is smart or anything, they're super dumb. They all have a few set things that they do and look out for and are pretty easily abused. They do their job well enough though and support the puzzle solving focus well. In terms of controls, it's pretty basic like the rest of the game, and like the other aspects, it works in the game's favor. There are only a few actual controls. You can run, you can interact with things using your beak, you can spread your wings, you can lower your neck, and of course, you can honk. You really feel like a goose. You waddle around on the ground, it's difficult to turn when you're running, and you have absolute control when you're swimming around. The goose feel trademark is really off the charts, and it makes exploring each part of town all the better. You can definitely waste a lot of time in each area, but eventually you will have to move on to the next. So when you've completed all the necessary tasks in an area, an NPC will open up a path to the next and place a big "No Geese Allowed" sign where they currently are, and as a good upstanding goose, you will obey and move on. Or don't, whatever. The whole game progresses like this until the very end, where there's one major shakeup, where the stealth aspects are played up a bit more, but it's still not much different from the rest of the game. Visually, Untitled Goose Game goes for a lot of flat colors and untextured models, and while that can come off as lazy in some games, I feel like with the mood they're setting here of, I guess, mild chaos, it works. It knows what it is, if you know what I mean. It's just a small town trying to go about its business when this big old bird just shows up and starts ducking things up. The music serves this purpose as well, really only starting up when the goose is interacting with people and messing up their days. Along with that, the tempo and intensity of the primarily piano-based music will increase if the goose is getting chased, or slow down when the poor people the goose is harassing give up and let it go about its business. It works really well, and it's a fantastic example of how dynamic music adds to the experience of playing a game. This all adds to the charm of Untitled Goose Game. Sure, you're a horrible creature harassing some innocent people, but the mood is so light and the act of just being a goose is so charming that it really just made me want to play more. That's not even talking about how funny it can be, and it's a genuine comedy as well. None of it is over the top and forced. It's all organic and caused by things that you do. If you think something will be funny, try it out, it probably will be. Now, if you're just going from objective to objective, it won't take you very long to complete Untitled Goose Game. probably less than 4 hours as long as you can solve each puzzle in a reasonable amount of time, but a lot of the fun is just being a goose. And you can definitely spend a lot more time just being that agent of chaos and ruining someone's day if you so choose. Now, there isn't a whole lot in terms of extras from what I can see. No other skins, no secret levels, etc. But there are the aforementioned extra objectives as well as speedrun objectives, which have you complete everything in an area within a certain time limit. Hopefully House will expand on a few things here, maybe give us some DLC areas and hopefully some new goose skins. I like the goose we have, but it would be nice to have a Canada Goose skin at the very least. Untitled Goose Game doesn't set out to do a whole lot, it just aims to make a game where you play as a goose. And I don't think it'll be a controversial statement to say that I've never had so much fun playing as a waterfowl before. In my opinion at least, it's definitely worth a gander. Thank you so much for watching. This was definitely a bit different from my normal stuff, but I hope to do more of these in the future. So, with that, I will see you all later.